All right, we have Brett finally here. We've tried to book him several times, but he lives in Denmark, and it's really hard to get him here. He came all the way from Denmark. But he has just been in the trenches of the singer-songwriter thing we have been doing for our entire lives, and uplifting, and he's been helping other people too learn about how to make their songs better, and brought songs to the people of indigenous cultures, doing that. I'm trying to sort of skip through here. He has a 16-year-old daughter, he told me, which is awesome. Hard to have a teenage girl, as I raised two of them. I know that's a big one. He has lots of CDs out there that are back there that you should pick up if you still have a CD player. And he has won so many awards, I can't even talk about them all because there's so many of them. He's awesome, and you're about to hear why. Please welcome Brett Perkins.
Thank you.
You can be here or there.
Yeah, okay.
If you want to stand or if you want to sit.
I think I'll stand at least for as long as I can. That's my tour theme. It's called Lifelong Tour, as long as I can stand. As long as they can stand me. I do have a soon-to-be 16-year-old daughter, and she keeps me, well, I can't say she keeps me current, but she keeps me on my toes. She says, "You're a boomer, but I'll do my best to assist you." We're buddies. She says I'm her best friend, so that's the highest honor at any age. Yeah, we've been best friends since she was born. In fact, what a great way to open. Thank you for that, because I really tried to slow down in my life. Tried meditating, tried all that, and it just, I was such a go. And then I had an infant to watch over by myself. And that is, if you're going to be present, that is slowing down. And I remembered the fascination of a leaf for 30 minutes, or a worm coming out from the rains. And that was the beginning of, the continuation of learning to listen. So I'm going to open with a song that I'll tell you about it afterwards. It's called "I Won't Give Up on Love," and it's still true. Heaven knows how I am here with you, and heaven knows where this is leading to. After all the heartache I've been through, I won't give up on love. Could have been the way you said hello. Could be something deeper, I don't know. Certain I don't want to see you go, so don't give up on love. Breathe and breathe me in. Bless me with your honesty, your gift for seeing how it is. Will we share this waking mystery? Walk together feeling found and free. Face the unhealed space in you and me, and not give up on love. I breathe and breathe you in. You bless me with your honesty, your gift for telling it like it is. Heaven knows how I am here with you, and heaven knows where this is leading to. After all the heartache we've been through, let's not give up on love. After all the heartache I've been through, I won't give up on love, on you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, I usually don't tell the stories about my songs before I play them, because I want people to have their own experience. And I learned that from a quote from one of my favorite poets, and now his name has just gone out of my head. This is what jet lag and being 63 does to me. And a lot, maybe too much or not enough coffee. Robert Frost, thank you. I knew it would show up eventually. It was on the cue cards in there somewhere. I was scanning. I found a wonderful autobiography, very small book called The Aim Was Song. And that's what drew me to the title. I found it in the used bookstore. I love thrift shops and used bookstores. The smell, well, not always a thrift shop smell, but the used bookstore smell. And he said he was asked throughout his life to explain what that poem meant, his inspiration. And he said, why would I rob the reader of their experience? It would be wrong. And I thought, that's a good answer. But for today's purposes, I will tell you afterwards that that song is one that's a lot of people have connected with. I always try to put hope in my songs because I write them first for me to feel hopeful. And I wrote that when I was feeling very little hope. I was at the end of my first marriage. I waited a long time to get married, kind of intended it to be the one. And 16 months later, it was over. We are still dear friends all these years later, but she bolted. She needed to do that on her path, and we've had lots of years to heal that rift. But so here I was sitting, feeling devastated, and saying, but I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. But, whew, yeah, still true. Still resonates for me, because every day is a choice, I get up and I go, thank you, and I'm not going to give up. Some days it's easy. Sometimes it's, woo, here, I've got a show. I get to go play for people, and some days it's, okay, yeah, I got to deal with the rent being due or whatever, issue or a health issue or anything like that. We're all living that same unique, individual, universal experience, life and death. And as my songwriter friend Kevin Welsh says, it's all about what you do with that little dash in between. So I started the Listening Room. The name The Listening Room, of course, is not a unique term. I thought it was when it came to me in my writing. I was calling what I did in the early 80s. I've been writing songs for 48 years. I started performing at age 14 in LA clubs in 77. So I call it a lifelong tour. And I used to call what I did works of heart, because I would book shows, I would hear songwriters like Joni and others, although we always, we tried so many times. We've been swimming in each other's emails for years. And I would present them, and I would never take a commission, and it wasn't about the money, it was about, wow, people need to hear what you do. And somebody once said, you're a proselytizer, and I said, I have to look that up, because I think I might have just been insulted. But he said, no, it's a good word. You share what you believe in. And so I called it Works of Heart. And then I went out on tour and became dear friends with Dar Williams, a lovely songwriter. If you're not aware of, she's a wonderful person and wonderful songs. And she had just was on her Honestly Big tour, which was also the first time I came to Taos on tour with Dar. And she had this album called The Honesty Room. And as I recall, I can't tell the story for her, but as I recall her telling me, the inspiration was because in her home she didn't feel at that time, growing up, that there was much honesty. She may have amended that, so again, I don't speak for her now. But and I thought, well, in our house, nobody listened. So I'm going to start the listening room. And you teach what you need to learn, So, and because as a songwriter, as a touring songwriter, I spent a lot of time on my songs, and I thought, I don't want to play in rooms where people are indifferent and I'm the background entertainment. That's fine. If I'm hired as entertainment and I'm playing cover songs and I'm helping somebody have a great night, there's all kinds of places for music, but not the songs I was writing and not the songs I was spending my time on. So I started, instead of complaining, which is easy, about how things are, I decided to build something new, use my energy to build something new. So I started the series, the Listening Room series, in 1993 as a house concert series in South Pasadena. Dar was one of my first featured artists. And she brought me to Taos for the first time when we went on tour together. And then I started in a theater, moved it to a theater in 1998. And that ran until 2002, when I moved to Copenhagen full-time. I was already going there half the time. I fell in love with a Dane in Ireland, and of course I moved to Denmark for the weather, being from Los Angeles. Anyone who knows winter there is, woo. So I don't spend a lot of winters in Denmark. But, and I brought the listening room to Denmark. And at the time, they had no songwriter scene. It had sort of petered out in the 70s, like it did sort of here. There was the 80s techno, and then there were the hair bands. And then but the U.S. had just come off this huge resurgence. Americana, the term Americana was born, and there were new radio stations and NPR radio and all this wonderful network and the North American Folk Alliance and all that. And the Scandinavians were they were baffled by all that. So I brought it there and I started the Listening Room, and I helped them start 30 songwriter clubs in Denmark. Because they also have cultural support money to say, yes, we will pay you to go out and help people to do this. So a friend of mine, Michael McNevin, called me the Johnny Appleseed of folk. And and later he amended it to the Captain Kirk, which I thought was cooler. Anyhow, I don't know if that was complimented either. Knowing Michael, I probably had a couple meetings. But anyhow, and now I've just returned, I literally just returned from 7 weeks in Southeast Asia for the first time, touring in Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, and China. And I'm going to live about half the next few years in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh. And I've just bought the .com for the Phnom Penh Listening Room and Songwriters Festival. So, because they don't have what I'm doing over there. There are no listening rooms. I checked it out. There are no smoke-free rooms either. That was a throwback. Tell you what, you want to remember the 70s, go breathe the air during traffic in Asia. They don't have catalytic converters that I know of. So I'm bringing it there. And I love it because there's a fine line. Just because I wrote a song that is meaningful to me does not mean that I have the right to demand anyone's attention to that song, for it to mean as much to them as to me. And that was a lesson that took a long time to learn. The audience doesn't owe me anything. Right now you're paying attention, and that is payment. And you've chosen to be here of all the places. And I realize you're not only here for me, but right now, you could get up and walk out if it wasn't of interest. And I have practiced. My little 8-year-old still goes, they're leaving, they hate me, oh my God. It focuses on that one person. But the man just says, cool out, you're good. We got the majority of the room with us, that's all right. And even if we don't, do it for myself first, and then offer it up. But what I found in listening rooms, it's a win-win, because I have the Copenhagen Listening Room open stage. Open stages are critical for trying out new songs, and which I'm about to try out a new one on you. You're my guinea pigs this morning. But it's been running 20 years now, and it's every Sunday in Copenhagen. You can walk in, there's a grand piano, there's a full sound system, video, lighting, the whole house, guitar house, piano, sound man, and you get to do 2 songs. And you find out if that song resonates or not. That's how you find out, because if it's a monologue, it's probably not going to resonate. But if it's a desire to commune and to communicate, then it's a discussion and it's a connection. And people come up and say, wow, that song reminded me of, and then you find these wonderful connections. And, music, listening to my own heart and listening to music has been my way of surviving and then thriving. I was a child, I had serious abuse in my childhood from a very early age, and it took a long time to figure out what that was and why I thought how I did and why I had depressions that were completely out of the blue. And 17 years of therapy, I figured out they weren't completely out of the blue anymore. And but I'm a thriver now. I'm not just a survivor. Anyhow, the song, I'm going to play a new song for you, but the one that I said I wrote for that Doomed to Marriage, I played it yesterday in Arroyo Seco. I played it at a house concert last year here at Sunny Redmond's house. She hosted me a house concert, I mostly play house concerts. My favorite is because it's like this, nobody's hitting you up to buy 2 drinks, and there's not another agenda. It's about the music, and I get to meet the people, and we get to talk, and there's plenty of time. It's lovely. And I'm also open to being hosted by others. There's the commercial. So I played this previous song, and there was this couple there. I hadn't met them yet, and they were, I'm used to people reacting. That song tends to get a lot of emotion from people. I noticed some people tearing up here. And I thought, well, something's getting triggered, And then they looked at each other and there were tears. And I thought, wow, I hope they're okay, So but I didn't want to approach them. I want to leave them to it, And they came to me and they said, when you were playing that song, we were both, without talking to each other, thinking that's our song. And then they looked at each other and said, that's our song, and we want him to play it at our wedding. So they took me, and that's why I'm here at this time. I played their wedding yesterday, and as part of the ceremony, right before the rings were exchanged, I stood before their friends in beautiful Aspen open setting and played that song, and it redeemed the song in a way for me. It's their song now, and it's a song about hope and new beginnings and not giving up on love. And they were both, between them, married 5 times. So it was a real proclamation of faith, that they got married again. Anyhow, so you referenced the rain, the blessing of the rain. And now in Denmark, it rains a lot. And when it rains in the summer, the Danes get very frustrated because they've already dealt with rain the rest of the year. So when I wrote this song, and I did try it out one night in Denmark, and let's just say that the room didn't appreciate the sentiment. But being from Southern California, and rain being, so necessary, I just came from there. I host and produce a Songwriters Retreat in a festival in Idlewild, California, and you got to watch everything for fire all the time. So, I'm trying to, yeah, good. Those are the opening chords. I'm just checking in with the cue cards. There's a guy in there going, hurry up. This is my love song about summer rain, and I love when it rains in the summer, even in Denmark. But then I leave more often than most of them. So anyhow, it's called Summer Rain. It's quite early to sing it, but I think I'm going to give it my best shot. Summer rain, sweet as April showers, makes me happy for the flowers. Summer rain brings me joy for hours, makes me happy for the flowers. Much as I love a sunny day, no big fan of gray. I love how they wash the city's face, make the world shine brighter, as long as there's somewhere dry to stay, with a double shot latte. watching the raindrops dance away leaves my heart much lighter. Summer rain, sweet as April showers, makes me happy for the flowers. Summer rain brings me joy for hours, makes me happy for the flowers. Rain, 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 please don't go away. Come on back another day. Summer rain, sweet as April flowers, makes me happy for the flowers. Summer rain makes me joy for hours, makes me happy for the flowers. And I never did work out an ending, so I'm just gonna fade it. Like a rainstorm, moving off into the distance. This guitar is tuned a half step down, sometimes a full step down, and I learned that trick from when I was in my late 40s, and there were some 50-something songwriters I was touring with, and they said, yeah, I was the high voice guy too. You know, we recognized each other. We were the ones who had to sing all the Zeppelin covers and all that in high school, and we were cool because we could do it, but you know, that voice doesn't stay in that condition, as anyone who went to see the Beach Boys in their final years, reunion tours, came to know, and so many others. I don't begrudge them their need to play, but Willie Nelson's still kicking butt though.
Yeah, he is.
And Mick Jagger and McCartney. So yeah, there's some pretty good role models out there. So I tend to, that was the top of my range. So that's as good as it's gonna get this morning. I just wanted to, let me just check on my time with you. How am I doing? I got about
10
minutes. Good. Okay. The other clock is ticking now. I haven't worn a watch in years, and I don't sleep a lot. I get enough sleep, but I don't sleep a lot. I tend to sleep about 4 hours most nights, and then I get up and I'm up for 2 or 3 hours, thanks to the wonders of espresso. And then I have my second sleep. And I read recently that was how things were back in medieval times. There was actually the term second sleep comes from that time, because people were creative, and they used the time in the middle of the night to be contemplative, or the monks used it, and I don't know about the nuns, but because of course back then they were only documenting what the monks were doing. I love the stillness of the night, and that's when I'm often writing songs, and I get a lot of my dreams in songs. So when I lead these retreats that I've been doing for 23 years now in 10 countries, so there's a lot of songs in the world that I midwifed. That's how I think of it. I put people together every morning. We talk about some creative aspect of welcoming in, flow, life force, energy, love, whatever word you want to use for it, and getting our egos out of the way, and then coming together and playing the child instinct to play. It is called to play music. And I have to remind them sometimes there is a music industry, but the word industry was added on later. You know, music existed for a long time before it was monetized, and it is not the focal point. I know some people who do it very well and do it for that reason, and I don't begrudge them their success. I have never been happier than when I stopped trying to get a record deal. Although I've made plenty of albums and all that. And actually, funny thing, I had more commercial success after I gave up the chase. You know, there's that, not an unfamiliar paradox. Jenny did mention I have CDs. I'm an eternal optimist. They make wonderful coaster sets if you buy them in sets of 2 or 4. They're all donation based, so if you're interested, the song I sang, I only brought the 2 CDs for that song, opening song. It's a duet. On the album, it's a duet with a string quartet, a classical piano, and a contrabass with a wonderful Danish songwriter. On the smaller CD, it's a live recording with my former French partner singing, so there's a bit of a French accent to her harmonies and a wonderful smoky voice. But my greatest moment of singing that song was on Danish television 2 years ago, with my daughter, then 13. She said, I want to sing it with you. I said, you got to nail the part. She said, I'll be ready. She came to rehearsal. She wasn't ready. I said, okay, you're 13. You get one free pass for your ego saying you're ready, but you didn't do the homework. So now come back when you're ready. She came back. She took it as a lesson because she's pro. And we sang it on Danish television, and she nailed it. I'm flying back to Denmark on August 14th. I do a loop here, and then I head up the central coast of California, and then I get on a plane because she has her audition for X Factor in Denmark, which is the equivalent of like America's Got Talent. And X Factor, the original the title of my speech today is the L Factor, and I got that from, I don't watch those shows because I realize some people, there's some amazing talent, I get it. But I think a large part of it is voyeuristic. It's about watching people fail or embarrass themselves or watching a judge be harsh. And, there's a lot of other elements, at least for me. I was like, this is not good for me, so I'm not going to watch. I watch the highlights now on YouTube. Show me the people who are happy. Show me the happy people. A little bit of denial goes a long way. So that show started in Denmark, and I thought, oh, no, not Denmark. We've done it again. We've exported a terrible idea, to a country that was so kind. So I created the L Factor: listening, learning, loving. And the first thing I did was book the first X Factor person who didn't win because she played her own song. It was a beautiful song. And she's a 15-year-old girl. And they had given her a hard time, and she didn't win because she didn't play the game, So I put her on as a feature on the Copenhagen Songwriters Festival the first year. And started the L Factor. I just decided, when I think of something, I just go get the .com. That's basically it. And then I start giving stuff away. So I turned it into it's not a formal charity, it's not a registered charity, but I have donated, at this point, we're over $100,000 in free spots on retreats and booking people on tours and, just basically continuing the works of art that I was doing before and giving it a name because I could get more people to understand what it was about. I don't solicit donations or anything like that because it's not a formal organization, but yeah. So one message I want to leave you with in this last few minutes is I have my email, I have postcards here with my email, and if there's any artist you ever hear anywhere and go, oh, wow, he or she, and they don't have to be the youngsters, but I like to help the new ones because I think they need the most, kind of leg up. Send me an email and say, hey, check this out. Just send me a link. I will, because I have presented in my life. In the 90s, I was the CEO of the National Academy of Songwriters in LA, and I met and presented Stevie Wonder and Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen and Randy Newman and Joni Mitchell and all these people. But first of all, I'm not starstruck. It's about the songs, not the people. Secondly, sometimes when you meet the people, you wish you just could have left it with the songs. Although most of everyone I listed was very lovely. Randy Newman's a hoot, and Joni's a very sweet person. But what I'm most interested in is the new voices. The 15-year-old gets up there trembling at the open stage and plays a song, and you think, wow, she can barely play her guitar and her voice is shaking. But man, there's all heart there. That's and that's the person I want to say, come to the retreat. And don't worry, you don't have to pay the fee and you can hang out. And then I put them with more experienced writers, and then magic happens. Yeah, and so that's my job. People are like, what a life, and I say, yes, I'm very thankful. I feel very blessed, and I basically failed my way into this because I tried to fit in. I was in advertising, I was in sales, I tried to do all the things, tried to make my mom proud. I wore a suit and tie. I was a Rotarian, which is not a bad thing. We did good work, but and then I just finally went, no. And my dear mother, who's now a few years past, even into my late 50s, was saying, you sure you couldn't get a real job? But when I brought her to the Salute to the American Songwriter, I sent a limo for her and brought her there, and she heard Burt Bacharach come out and sing Alfie by himself on the piano. She said, this is what you do? And I thought, all right, good, I'll take that. I want to finish with one more song, and I rarely look at my notes because I do things extemporaneously, but I did think it was a really good idea at the time, so I'm going to just see if it's still a really good idea. Let's see, it was one. Oh, no, it's not the one. one I want to close with. Okay, so yes, so I come here once a year. That's my intention. Of course, it's always universe willing. I have Muslim friends, quite a few Muslims in Denmark from refugees, and they say, inshallah, inshallah. I heard this all the time. I'm like, what is that? God willing. And I said, okay, well, I have issues with the G word from how it was presented to me. I get, that it means different things for different people. So I went, universe willing works for me. So that's my phrase. And so universe willing, I'll be back here around this time next year. And again, I play house concerts, so I'd be happy to. And what is a house concert? It's about 10 people, friends, who are willing to do a voluntary donation in a bowl. Nobody's forced to pay anything, and it can be a potluck or whatever. And I play a couple of sets of acoustic music, and the salad, as I call it, in the bowl, goes to the artist. And that's basically it. There you go. It's that simple. Or complicated if you want to make it that way. I know some people who do. And I am playing one more concert here in town, and that is Borrow Vino, which on Friday, which when they booked me, they said it's 6:30 to 8, and then yesterday they wrote me and said, are you still coming? And I thought, you haven't answered any of my emails. Yes, I'm here. Well, could you play from 4 to 6? I said, you double booked it, didn't you? Yeah. I said, sure, I'll play from 4 to 6, fine. So I'm playing from 4 to 6. Borrow Vino, and probably hanging out for the other artists.
On what day?
Friday night. Yeah, this Friday. And then I have Saturday wide open, so if somebody feels motivated, I'm happy to play, in the daytime or the evening, Saturday or Sunday.
Maybe we should invite you here for a house concert.
Well, you talk amongst yourselves, and then I hop to Flagstaff, where I've started a Songwriters Festival there. And all the festivals I produce, I do it for free. I declare a weekend or a week in a town that I want to visit once a year. I say it's a festival week now. I include all the venues for free. I promote what they're doing, and I find a local charity that people can give donations if they enjoy the show. So in Flagstaff, it's the Flagstaff Family Food Center. In Idlewild, it's the Idlewild Help Center. These are always sustenance-based, street level, like putting food in the mouths of kids before school. I mean, that's it. There's no percentage going anywhere, but that cash goes to that food. That's what I want to see, direct. Yeah. Okay, I'm talking a lot. I'm going to finish up with a song that I wrote on the way to Taos. I take the Amtrak now. I rarely drive out anymore because I made this loop about 50 times, and I think I've seen all the gas stations and the restaurants. And Amtrak's a lovely way to travel if you're not in a hurry, because they rarely get there on time. So I'll leave you with this song. It's called The Journey. Let me wander open spaces. Let my hopes carry me home. I have journeyed now for ages, sometimes wondering why I roam through the words on sacred pages. I have sought for where I'm bound in this yearning for salvation, to know peace and common ground. Are there angels up in heaven? Are there devils in my heart? Is redemption some great fable? Is forgiveness some great art? Through the words of fools and sages, I have sought for what is sound in this yearning for salvation, somewhat wiser. The road ahead, less than behind, and I hold a soul much lighter than the darkness known through time. In a world of cons and cages, I have thought not to lay down through this yearning for salvation, to know peace and common ground. Through the words on sacred pages, I have sought for where I'm bound in this yearning for salvation, to know peace